Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. It is 9:42 p.m. It is nighttime. It is Tuesday, July 23rd, so it's the night before I'm shooting this. You might notice right away, Sal, where's the floating head? Why is there a background? Why are you in a box? I apologize for the presentation today, potentially a little echoey as well. I have my car completely packed right now to move down to North Carolina. Yes, I am officially moving finally tomorrow to North Carolina. I'm going to be leaving at 3 or 4 in the morning, so I figured the best time to shoot the videos was the night before. Nothing immediate happening that should foreseen, nothing unforeseen happening in the WNBA on this 2-game slate. Again, I apologize. This is the best way I can get the video out. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do a video. So bear with me. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Sal Vetri. I do cover daily fantasy sports in the NFL, MLB, which we're going to have a video out as well as an article linked up down below. WNBA, which you see right here. NBA, which sadly is not for a couple more months, a decent amount of months. But yes, we have a 2-game WNBA slate today. And before we get started, if you could hit the like button, that helps me. If you hit that red subscribe button, that helps me the most. Come on, let's get some more growth on this channel during the WNBA season. Finish up the final month or so of the season. Excited for that. But yeah, again, I do apologize if you are new. This is not my normal presentation style. You can go back and look. I got the green screen behind me. You can't see anything. It's popped out. It looks a lot neater, I guess you can say. But for right now, this is what we're working with as I am completely packed. I'm literally in a white room, nothing on the walls. It's very depressing in here. All I've got is a mattress that I'm on right now, and then I'm out at 3 in the morning. So it is 9 o'clock at night, 9:43 at night. And we are going to break down this 2-game slate. So as you can see right here, not a lot of injury news to worry about. Ariel Atkins for Washington going up against Minnesota today. She is questionable. She did not play in the last game. Ariel Powers started for her and actually played really well. Ariel Powers, not the greatest point per minute player, but in the last game she played well. I don't expect for that to continue. I have Ariel Atkins as of right now as being out. Now I have projections. That's something else I should note. I do have player projections. I project players' points. Use an algorithm that factors in about 7 or 8 different things: historical data, pace, Vegas totals, minutes, point per minute production, all these different things, right? A couple other things as well, randomness. So with that all in there, you can get that link down below on Patreon. That is where I do have my projections every single day. They are already up for tomorrow. Tonight I had a couple things that I had to tweak, and I'm not sure if the updated version went out or not, but they are updated throughout the day. And yes, if these players, if Ariel Atkins is in, I will change the projections to give her minutes. If she's out, then obviously everything will stay the same. Asia Durr is the other player who has not played now in a couple of games for New York versus Connecticut today. She is listed as questionable once again. And look, if she's out, it's going to open up a lot of minutes for a lot of different players. We saw Bria Hartley. This is now her 4th game back. In the first 2 games back from injury, she played a good amount of minutes, close to 30. In the last game, not so much. She played, I believe, closer to 20. Marine Johannes, they've been saying that they want to give her more minutes. She played 22 in the last game, and that's 22 with not playing a lot of the fourth quarter because they said she's still fresh, meaning that she's still learning the playbook, the plays, and getting up to speed. So 22 minutes as being sort of a limited minute cap. Yeah, look for Marine Johannes, somebody that I thought was going to see more minutes than Hartley anyways about a week ago. It seems like now that's where she's going. And Brittany Boyd, I don't imagine Boyd's going to see in the 20 minutes anymore, especially when Durr comes back. But she was very efficient on point per minute basis. She played 18 minutes in the last game, scored like 25 fantasy points. Don't look at the game logs. Don't see 25 fantasy points and go, oh, I can play this player again. No, she was very efficient. She was scoring like 1.5 fantasy points per minute, which is beyond crazy. I mean, Elena Delle Donne scoring like 1.3, right? You're not going to keep that up as Brittany Boyd, so don't go back and play her again hoping for it, because if it does happen, it's pretty much as unlikely as it gets, and you got really lucky already once for it to happen. So with that all said, I think it's going to be very interesting. I have Asia Durr as of right now as being out. We will get to the minutes that I have for these other players. I think Hartley and Johannes are both very interesting at their price points. Johannes, the fact that she played 22 minutes with coming out early in the fourth quarter due to not really being caught up to speed yet, the fact that she could play 25 minutes plus in this game and it's sort of a neutral matchup against Connecticut, yeah, that's very attractive to me. So those are the only 2 injuries right now, things to definitely monitor. And as of right now, I have both of these questionable players as being out. Target offense sheet. Let me blow this up really quickly for everybody. And yes, if you do want to follow me over on Twitter, it helps you out. I do post updates for the WNBA. I did not post many as today. I was dealing with some personal issues with this move, obviously. That is tomorrow. So yeah, I do post updates. I can't wait for the NFL season so bad that we can get a lot of updates. I post a lot of stats mainly for NBA and NFL. I'm trying to do a little bit more for WNBA, but at Wnba Dfs should be in the bottom of the screen somewhere. But yeah, you can hit me there. So 2 games today. What you're seeing here is just a target offense sheet. If you're familiar with my NBA content, it's a little bit bigger, right? You have rebounding rates, total rebounding rates. I have DVP on that page as well. But for right here, all I'm really worried about is pace, looking to see if there's a pace advantage. And there is. New York versus Connecticut. Right now I have it projected for about 4 more possessions, 3.5 really, more possessions per team than Washington and Minnesota. Washington and Minnesota play slightly slower. The big kicker is that New York just plays fast. They average 80 possessions per game. That's a lot. So what you're going to get in this game is I have it projected for 80.13, so 80 possessions per team compared to 76.73 per team for Washington and Minnesota. So what does all these numbers mean, Sal? Well, my projections are telling me that in the New York Connecticut game, there are going to be about 7 to 8 more total possessions. Or no, wait, let me do this again. There's going to be about 11 more total possessions in the game. That is very meaningful. 11 more total possessions in the game is something to go to. Now, does it mean that I want to stack 5 players from this game? No, it doesn't. The last time that there was a 2-game slate, I did like stacking 5 players. I think it was like Washington and LA, or just something where there's a lot of offensive potential. The over-unders in those games were split by like 20 points. The possessions were split by like 25. In this one, you're getting like 10 different possessions, and you're only getting, I imagine, an over-under difference of like 5 points at most, and I would be surprised if it was more than that. So no, I'm not looking to kind of heavily weight one team. Now, that's not to say that I'm going to play 3-3 from each game, but 4-2 is fine. 5-1, though, I don't imagine I get there. There's just not that many pieces from the New York team that I feel confident about. And then on the flip side, from Connecticut, there's like 2 pieces. So realistically, naturally, I don't even know if I get to 3 players from New York, Connecticut. One, due to pricing, I could name 1 to 2 New York players that I have interest in. Connecticut, 1 to 2 at most. And I do have interest in some of the Washington and Minnesota players. So right there, it's going to be pretty neutral. No game stands out to me. Just keep in mind that New York and Connecticut should have more possessions. But Washington and Minnesota might actually feature more total points just due to the fact that they're more consistent overall. And the pace is not that widespread. It's about 3.5 difference. So let's get to my early interest. I will blow these up very big. So these are not my projections. You can see my projections. I already have them up on Patreon right now. It's linked down below. Like I said, you can go there. You can support me. Projections are all blocked out, and there's a lot more that goes into it than just this page. This is just sort of a snapshot to quickly show for content reasons, and I might as well blow it up even more. Here we go. Perfect. So, 2-game slate. I only listed, 9 players on here. I say only really lightly, or is it 8? Yeah, 9 players. So 9 players is a lot to list for a 2-game slate where you only, realistically from a player pool in a 2-game slate, you're probably choosing from 15 players. So I list 9 early interests, and this is really early. The game started 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, just to let everybody know, by the way. So I'm getting this out actually a decent amount of time ahead of the time. So keep in mind that the games do start early in the morning. If you're watching this later on, there is a showdown slate, which the projections will also work for. You just have different values because there's different salaries for the showdown slate. But anyways, Elena Delle Donne, on a 2-game slate, what you're looking for is less value. You don't care too much about value as much as you care about overall points. It's not about finding the value plays. Maybe you need 1 to fit in the studs, but 2-game slate, there's so many ways that if somebody drops 40 points, like an Elena Delle Donne or Jonquel Jones, and you don't have them, well, you're not winning anything, and you're probably going to lose a lot of cash games because there's just so many few spots to make up that 40 points elsewhere. So with that said, Elena Delle Donne at $11,000 is my favorite play in the slate, the only player I have projected for 40-plus fantasy points right now. The matchup against Minnesota is not favorable, but this is just an absolute beast. Probably the best player in the WNBA right now when she's fully healthy, as she has been as of late, or the last 2 or 3 games. So yeah, players averaging 35 fantasy points a game, with kind of having limited games due to injury and due to an earthquake in there. And then you're going to tell me that she's going to play 30 plus minutes today. Yeah, it's all day for Elena Delle Donne in the game that is more beneficial in terms of overall points that should be in here. Jonquel Jones going up against New York. Again, not a favorable matchup going up against Tina Charles and now Amanda Wnba. But Jonquel Jones is another player who's going to average over 1.2 fantasy points per minute, $10,600. I'm fine paying this much money for the both of them. It's easy to fit in 2 studs in the WNBA because it's very easy to find a $6,000, $7,000 player or 2 to make it work. Even on a 2-game slate, you usually have a few. So Jonquel Jones is not this player that we're used to seeing since the beginning of the year. She does average 37 fantasy points per game. She was sort of the first quarter or third of the year MVP, I would say, and then Delle Donne got back into the game or back into the league and playing really well. Jones is still a great player. Don't get me wrong. She's still a 1.2 fantasy point per minute player. There's a little bit more risk here than with Delle Donne because the offense can go through other players like the guards and Alyssa Thomas. Or not Alyssa Thomas, but Alicia Clark. I don't know why I can't remember. It's Thomas. I don't know why. I just made that up. So it can go to other forwards as well. So that's why the usage is a little bit less. You get a 26.6% rate just to compare it between Delle Donne, 23.8% between Jonquel Jones. That might not seem like a lot, but 3% is a big difference when you're talking about a studs on the team. So do have a lot of interest in Jones. I think pairing Jones and Delle Donne opens up a big floor for you for cash. In terms of tournaments, I prefer Delle Donne, and I think getting away from Jones might actually be beneficial when ownership comes into play. Christy Tolliver at $8,500 is probably my third favorite play on the slate. Pure points-wise, she doesn't grade out as well, but she's only $8,500, so it's kind of factored into that. Not sure why this always pops up. The minutes should be there. The matchup is beneficial for her against Minnesota. Odyssey Sims is really the only player who plays some defense, really not that much at all. Tolliver at 8,500 is fine. Courtney Williams, the minutes are all over the place. You can get 25, you can get 32. She averages on the year 28. I believe I have her at 27 today. But she's too cheap. 7,700 for a player who is going to see over 25 minutes in a beneficial matchup. And let me not say this too lightly. New York is the worst team in the league against the guard position. So Jasmine Thomas, she's priced up. I think she's still a fine play in terms of hitting a ceiling. But Courtney Williams, to get 30 plus fantasy points in this matchup, it's very realistic. And at 7,700, that's just way too cheap. Wnba Dfs, we keep saying it. She continues to get cheaper. This is a player that potentially can reach the mid nines, if not $10,000, when she's fully healthy going for the full minutes. Now, she's back from overseas. She is healthy. She just hasn't been playing the minutes. If you give her 25 minutes today, which is what I gave her, and she has been playing limited minutes in the 3 games since being that. Parts of that has to do with blowouts. Some of it is just they're not giving her the rotation minutes yet. If she plays 25 minutes, she grades out at 7,500 as a fantastic play in this neutral matchup against Connecticut, where Tina Charles should be getting the brunt of a Jonquel Jones. So yeah, Wnba Dfs will be at 7,500. Really hard to ignore because there's going to be a day when she just plays her 28 minutes, right? That there's going to be a day, and when she does that, she's going to be way too cheap at 7,500. At worst, she'll average a fantasy point per minute or right around there, even in a hard matchup. And there's your 28 fantasy points right there. Factor in some other things, obviously, but give or take, 7,500 is way too cheap. Will that day happen tomorrow? Will she play 25, 28 minutes tomorrow? I don't know, but on a 2-game slate, I'm willing to take that risk. If she plays 20, she doesn't absolutely bury you at 7,500. So yeah, I'm willing to take that risk. Bria Hartley at 7,300. So I'll talk about Hartley and Johannes at the same time. Matchup against Connecticut isn't the worst. And yeah, I told you that Johannes is starting to get more minutes. 22 in the last game without playing the fourth quarter. Hartley's minutes subsequently came down during that. I do think they're going to pull minutes off of each other. And keep in mind, if Asia Dur is in, this all gets blown up. A lot of them, I don't have interest really in any of them because Asia Dur is going to go out there and play at least 24 minutes, cut into all of Hartley, cut into all of Johannes' minutes. It's just going to get ugly. If Asia Dur is indeed out, then yeah, I have interest in Johannes at 5,200 a lot because if she plays her another 20 minutes or so, averages a fantasy point per minute, that's really good, right? It's a neutral matchup. And then Bria Hartley at 7,300 is also too cheap if she just gets back to 24, 25 minutes. I'd rather have Johannes for $2,100 less, but there's obviously a lot of risk in Johannes. She can go back to playing 16 minutes and she can score you 10 fantasy points. But I'm fine taking that risk at $5,200 when then you could fit in everybody else that you want. Natasha Cloud is still too cheap at $7,000. This is a player that just continues to average like 30 minutes per game, right? She'll hit 33 some games. She'll hit like a bottom of 28. So $7,000 for that many minutes in a game that is going to feature probably the most points out of these 2 games against a team that is going to probably more so than not be a favorable matchup to the guard position. It's hard not to like a $7,000 Natasha Clark, and this is what I'm talking about. If you get to a $7,000 Clark and a $7,700 Courtney Williams, it becomes very easy to fit in Della Dene and Jonquel Jones, two of the 2 highest pure point scorers that I have on the slate. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for pure points, as well as obviously some cheaper players that you have to get in there to fit those higher players. But in those cheaper players, look for the players that have more pure point upside rather than just being a good value, because on a 2-game slate, there's so many few pickings to choose from, if that makes sense. So Aerial Powers I have in yellow. Only have interest in Aerial Powers if indeed Ariel Atkins is out. Otherwise, Powers becomes like a 15-minute player. If Ariel Atkins is out, she becomes like a 25, 26-minute player. 6,600 is cheap enough on a 2-game slate for me to get to. I just do worry that she's going to have high ownership because of her performance in the last game. And keep in mind, that is she overplayed, like, right? She was playing a little bit over her head. She did get the start, which was nice to see. But otherwise, I don't have too much concerns about playing her at 6,600 on a 2-game slate. She's more than fine to play. I do prefer Natasha Cloud. I do prefer Wnba Dfs and Courtney Williams, but they're all more expensive. So if that's something that you want to fill it in, you can take that into consideration. Now, do I prefer Aerial Powers or Marina Johannes? Well, if Johannes is still going to come off the bench, then I prefer Aerial Powers if indeed Atkins is out. It's just more locked in minutes. She should see more minutes than Johannes at a similar sort of matchup. So that's where I'm at right now. Hopefully this helps. Follow me on Twitter at SalvetriDFS. Once again, I do apologize for my presentation today. I don't have my ring light. I don't have my green screen. I don't have my microphone. I'm literally just recording this off my laptop webcam right now. So trying to make things work. Hopefully you guys appreciate this. Leave a comment down below. What do you want to see more out of me moving forward now that I'm moving? I'll have a nice stable spot to shoot these videos. It'll be fun. So excited about the NFL season, excited about MLB, WNBA as they're still here. Hopefully you guys have been getting benefit from these videos. Let me know if you have been. My name's Sal. You already know that. Hit me up on Patreon or down below for the projections. Hit me up on Twitter at Wnba Dfs to get any questions answered that you might have. Sorry if I didn't answer any today. A lot of moving pieces going on with the move tomorrow morning, packing cars, calling people, making sure everything's hooked up at the apartment, right? Lots of things I had to do this afternoon. And then as well, hit the subscribe button if you're still here. So my name's Sal once again. Best of luck today, everybody. Peace out, gang.